Now, if you do not know who this lady is, she was the intelligence director of the Southern Poverty Law Center. She does look like she's poor, doesn't she? Like poor in spirit. Especially now, she's got arrested. Popped up on my timeline. Pronouns she, her, in case there's any confusion. For those of you who don't remember, SPLC is one of the organizations that brought censorship on the internet. It's difficult to believe, but yes, there was a time when you could actually post whatever the fuck you wanted on the internet. And the very idea that you could get in legal trouble over it was so unthinkable that if you went back in time and showed people how the internet looks like today, they would think we're in the Soviet Union or in China. More like in China, because like China used to have the strict censorship that the West has now, and people would say that the Chinese people are batshit insane, like that's a backward country. Nowadays, the West is looking at China and they're copying. They're like, oh, how can we bring more of that here? And this lady is actually responsible for this type of culture. You see, the SPLC was the one raising the alarm over the rise in extremism and anti-Semitism and white supremacy and misogyny and all the good shit. And they pressured payment processors and advertisers and journalists in order to punish the social media websites for not doing more to combat censorship and the monetization of hate, as they called it. And so social media companies, they first started cracking down on words. They would say you're not allowed to say the N-word. And people agreed. It's like, yes, I mean, why would you need to say it? And then they started cracking down on specific words, then phrases, and then even political sentiments, right? So like there was a time when you couldn't tell journalists to learn to code, because if you did that, you would get banned from Twitter. And again, this lady was the spearhead. She was at the forefront, leading the charge. Now, why is she getting arrested? Well, because it turns out that the Southern Poverty Law Center was actually monetizing hate. Maybe this is why they didn't want social media to do it, because they wanted to have a monopoly. All jokes aside, the thing that they did is that they were the ones offering a solution, right? Like they're offering anti-racism. But what do you do if there is no racism, right? Like if there is no demand for anti-racism because racism just isn't there. Well, the lady that's from the intelligence project director, she thought, well, what if we actually fund racism? What if we pay people to be racist? And this is what they did, right? This is what they're being accused of paying racists to do racist things, of paying extremists to do extremist stuff. And then they pay them, the extremists do their thing, and they're like, look, extremists, right? Social media, you're to blame, you're not doing enough. Of course, it's interesting that even after we find out what happened, no one is going to revert the changes, because the governments, whether they're left-wing or right-wing, they actually enjoy an internet they can control, even if extremism was never a problem. But they did shape the culture, right? Now, it turns out that some people may actually view it as fraud. Like if you take money from people to stop hate and you're using the money to fund hate, even though you can say, no, listen, it was for a good cause, right? It was for a good cause. We funded the hate so we can stop the hate, and therefore your money still went to stopping hate. No, it doesn't work, right? Apparently, she is going to have to face the music for her actions. So she was arrested on August the 12th on federal charges of wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering conspiracies, and prosecutors alleged that she oversaw secret donor-funded payments to white supremacist informants via shells, including one she dated and she later on shared $140,000 accounts with. Her lawyer says innocent and politically targeted. The SPLC calls the informant program legitimate intel. Its hate lists influenced the platforming by platforms and processors. Right. The FBI, as far as I know, pays less for their informants. But I guess this is what happens when you're in the private sector, right? Like the private sector can actually do the job more competent than the government and pay better. But yes, it's literally as she says, right? Like she was the ones that influenced the platforming by platforms and processors. And so the question is it going to be fraud? I don't know. I generally don't know. Regarding the fact that they are being politically persecuted. Give me a fucking break. You got politically protected up until now. But the SPLC has been sued several times for fraud, for, slandering and libel to people. It's only now that the music came in. And of course, like the left had absolutely no interest in prosecuting an NGO that was empowering the left. It's only when the right comes in that they're prosecuting the left NGOs, right? And when the left comes back, they're going to prosecute the right-wing NGOs. Like, this is how the world works. Not how I would want the world to work, but it is how it works, right? And so better late than never. Is she going to go away? Well, I don't know. Like, it depends on the type of job that the prosecutors have. But nobody can say with a straight face that there isn't a case to be had. Like, if you're a person that donates to protect the animals charity, and then you find out that the charity is actually hurting animals with your money, yeah, I would say that many donors may feel a little bit upset. Like, many donors may feel a little bit cheated. And so if you're a woman from the Bronx, right, living in a ghetto, and you're concerned about racism, you would probably hate to find out that your money actually went to the KKK. And not to mention, they're talking about spending money to informants. Like, informing you of what? Informing you of what? Because your entire activism was against social media, right? It's not like they investigated a movement and found out that this prestigious movement was actually being funded by the Democrats and the Klan, right? This is not what they did. They didn't do investigative journalism. What they did was activism. But in order to do that activism, they had to show, look at the extremists that they funded, which is literally what they're being accused of, right? So when the lawyer is saying that they're being innocent and it's political persecution, no, it's not political persecution. Right? Like, she's not being persecuted for being a Democrat. But, I mean, what are you going to say, right? Like, if you're caught doing something like this, what can you possibly say? The question is how their donors feel about it. And I'm pretty sure, like, they are going to be brought to court to be asked. It's like, are you okay with how your money has been spent? And I think the way they answer is going to influence the case a lot, right? If the donors say, yeah, but I'm happy. Like, look, we got censorship on social media. This is where my money wanted to go anyway. All right. If not, they're in big trouble. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, we'll see each other in the comment section. Take care.